Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me immense pleasure to address you today on a topic that lies at the heart of modern geopolitics: India's delicate and dynamic balancing of relations with three of the world's most powerful nations: China, Russia, and the United States. In an era defined by shifting alliances, economic interdependence, and new security challenges, India stands at a pivotal crossroads. Its ability to navigate the competing interests of these global powers, while safeguarding its sovereignty and advancing its national interests, has become one of the most significant diplomatic undertakings of the 21st century. India's foreign policy has always been guided by a combination of moral vision and pragmatic realism. Rooted in the principles of non-alignment, strategic autonomy, and multilateral cooperation, India's approach reflects both its civilizational heritage and its contemporary aspirations. As the world transitions from unipolarity to multipolarity, India finds itself as a central actor, a bridge between East and West, a voice for the global South, and a rising power that refuses to be confined within any single geopolitical camp. To understand India's current balancing act, we must first revisit its historical and ideological foundations. After achieving independence in 1947, India found itself in a bipolar world, divided between the United States-led Western Bloc and the Soviet-led Eastern Bloc. Under Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, India chose a path of non-alignment, advocating for an independent foreign policy that prioritized national sovereignty and global peace. This was not an act of neutrality or indecision, but a conscious effort to maintain flexibility and moral independence in a world driven by superpower rivalry. The Non-Aligned Movement, NAM, became the cornerstone of this policy, allowing India to champion the causes of decolonization, disarmament, and economic development while maintaining relationships with both sides. During the Cold War, India leaned closer to the Soviet Union, largely because Moscow offered consistent support on key strategic issues. The Indo-Soviet Treaty of Peace, Friendship, and Cooperation in 1971 was a turning point that ensured Soviet backing during the Bangladesh Liberation War, while also guaranteeing a steady supply of defense equipment and technology. At the same time, India's relations with the United States were often tense, marked by differing worldviews and Washington's close ties with Pakistan. Yet even then, India never closed the door on dialogue or cooperation with the West. The end of the Cold War and the disintegration of the Soviet Union in 1991 transformed the global landscape and compelled India to adapt. Facing an economic crisis, India initiated sweeping reforms that liberalized its economy and opened it to global markets. This economic transformation, combined with the end of bipolarity, created new opportunities for engagement. The United States emerged as a key economic and technological partner, while Russia remained a crucial defense ally. Meanwhile, China's meteoric rise as an economic powerhouse introduced both opportunities and challenges for India's regional strategy. Today, India's foreign policy operates on a framework best described as multi-alignment, an evolution of the old non-alignment philosophy adapted to the realities of the 21st century. Rather than choosing sides, India engages with all major powers based on issue-specific interests. It cooperates with the United States in defense, trade, and technology, with Russia in energy and security, and with China in multilateral forums and economic initiatives, despite ongoing tensions. This multi-vector diplomacy is not indecision. It is strategic flexibility designed to preserve India's autonomy and maximize its global influence. Let us first examine India's relationship with the United States. Over the past 2 decades, the India-US partnership has grown from cautious engagement to a comprehensive strategic alliance. The landmark Civil Nuclear Agreement of 2005 was a turning point that symbolized a new era of trust. It recognized India as a responsible nuclear power, despite its non-signature of the Non-Proliferation Treaty, and opened the door for cooperation in defense, energy, and high technology. Today, The United States is one of India's largest trading partners, and their defense relationship has deepened through joint exercises like Yudh Abhyas, technology transfers, and the signing of foundational defense agreements such as LIMOA, COMCASA, and BECA. The two nations share common interests in maintaining freedom of navigation in the Indo-Pacific, countering terrorism, and ensuring regional stability. The rise of the Quad, comprising India, the United States, Japan, and Australia, has further institutionalized this cooperation. However, India's approach to the United States remains nuanced. While it values the partnership, it remains cautious about being seen as part of an American-led alliance system. India's participation in the Quad is carefully framed as a cooperative, not confrontational mechanism, focused on humanitarian assistance, climate action, infrastructure, and supply chain resilience, rather than direct military confrontation. This allows India to align with the US, where interests converge while maintaining autonomy on issues like Iran, Russia, or trade policy, where they diverge. Now, let us turn to China, a neighbor, competitor, and occasional partner. The India-China relationship is complex and multifaceted, marked by cooperation in multilateral platforms and competition across geopolitical, economic, and strategic dimensions. Both nations are ancient civilizations that have re-emerged as modern powers, yet their relationship is defined by a long and contested border, mutual suspicion, and competing visions for Asia's future. The 1962 border war remains a defining trauma in India's strategic consciousness. Despite efforts to normalize ties through agreements in the 1990s and 2000s, the boundary dispute remains unresolved. The standoff in Doklam in 2017 and the clashes in the Galwan Valley in 2020 shattered the fragile trust that had been built. These incidents underscored the reality that China views its relationship with India through the prism of strategic competition. Yet paradoxically, China is also one of India's largest trading partners. Bilateral trade has grown exponentially, though heavily skewed in China's favor. India imports critical goods such as electronic components, machinery, and active pharmaceutical ingredients, while exporting raw materials and agricultural products. This economic interdependence makes complete decoupling impractical, even as India strives to diversify supply chains under its Atmanirbhar Bharat, Self-Reliant India initiative.